Floyd Stubblefield, what is going on, my brother?
Mr. Scott Rogers, baby, what's going on?
I mean, come on, don't you like this new hang here?
This is funky, and the couch matches my shoes. I like the way y'all did.
I like how those are called product placement right there.
There it is.
The Jordans, those look good. You know, the reality about you, Floyd, is anything looks good on you.
Heyo.
I don't know, I've never experienced that in my life, but I envy it, man. Hey, today we're talking about social media as a ministry.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be great because you're like the king of the socials.
I'm the king of something. I don't know if I'm the king of the socials, but one does what one can.
One does what? Well,
Yeah.
you do. So let's talk about it, man, because this is obviously a relevant topic. It's been relevant for 15 years now, or what have you.
Wait, when did Facebook go live?
So I was looking the other day on one of my note-taking apps. I won't mention it's Evernote, but I'm considering how do I get off this thing because some things, and I've been on Evernote since like 2008, I think. Been on Twitter since probably before that, but I never rose to the level that you are on social media. I mean, you're the man.
No, Facebook. I think I've been on Facebook since you had to have a college account.
Yeah,
you have to have your email had to be @edu.
Okay,
right? At something.edu. Right, that was the Facebook. I was telling someone on the way here that like I've been on Instagram since the birth of it. Like,
yeah, you were in the delivery room.
Oh yeah,
for Instagram.
Oh yeah, I definitely was in the beta phase of that.
Well, part of my entertainment is just going on Reels, and or actually going on your story and seeing what you throw up there. It's always we both have an affinity for Black gospel.
Amen.
Right. I mean, I love it.
It's passionate,
and it's part of your culture.
Amen.
For me, I'm just like, this is awesome.
I think the last one I posted was the guy said coming out of my prayer time, and he's walking around the house like, "Thank you, Jesus."
Thank you. That's the way to start your day.
Yeah, that'll get the blood pumping right there. If you are having a down day, don't get that cup of Folgers.
No, man, no.
Just tell the Lord thank you with everything in you.
You brought in a cup of medicine ball today. Speaking of product placement as well. This is good stuff. Okay, let's get to this. Social media as a ministry. There's an upside, there's a downside.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of knock out the downside and then camp out in the upside for a few minutes. But let's talk about the downside of social. I mean, I think we all kind of get it, but how do you articulate personally what's the downside, man?
I mean, outside of social media bullying, I shared this story. Like social media bullying, honestly, I lacked the empathy for it. I didn't. I was like, just turn it off. Like if someone's bullying you on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, no one's bullying on Facebook, right? Just turn it off. And dude, I did this TikTok where in my mind it went viral. I had like 2,000 likes on this thing. And it was just a simple me dancing.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah. Well, it was kind of a trending thing, right?
Yeah, that was it.
And you did it.
And I went all over the student building in most random places doing the dance. And I posted it. And I had like 2,000-3,000 likes like instantly. And I was like, oh man, I'm about to blow up. Endorses and calling. Yeah. And then I read the comments. Well, I read the comments and I was like, these are all nice. But then there's a tab on Instagram that says hidden comments. And I was like, why would they hide them? Oh. And they basically, AI filters out like the negative comments. And one of the comments said, imagine if he did that on a treadmill. Imagine how skinny he'd be.
Really?
And I was like, God bless you, buddy. Like you had nothing better to do.
Yeah.
Than to like spit.
Try to tear somebody down.
Tear someone down. Yeah. Like you could have simply kept swiping.
So why, that's the downside. And go to a deeper level of that. Why is social a platform that lets us, why do we think social is a platform where we can speak whatever we want at anyone and think it's okay? Dude, like that's definitely a downside in my opinion.
Is it not freedom of speech? Like, and everyone says the big one was MySpace, right? So it's my space, it's my Facebook, I can say what I want. It's
we're
like
gonna
an entitlement piece.
We're going to talk about cancel culture in our next episode.
Gosh.
And you're going to take us there because you probably know way more about it than I do.
Gosh.
But at the same time, I mean, free speech, okay. This is debatable, maybe a little, going to create a little bit of a stir. But
I say just say it.
I believe in free speech. I don't believe I have the right to walk up to you and say something to intentionally try to hurt you or tear you down. I think there's a wrong ethic about that. I think as a Christian, I don't think it represents the heart of Jesus. I think it's just flat out wrong.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
Well, do you have the right to do it? Yes. Should you? No. Right? So that's what the morals, I think if you look at it like what I have the right to do, yeah, you have the right to do it, but that doesn't mean you should. Like just because you can.
Just because you have the right to do it doesn't mean it's right.
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 I have the right to go smoke a cigarette. Pretty sure my doctor is going to tell me I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. So nothing wrong with it. It's just.
Yeah, sure.
Where do you draw that line? But then outside of that, dude, I think comparison, I think you talked a little bit, I saw your bullet points, but like comparison is another one. Like you can get in this rat race of like who's got, but no one posts. Yeah. Check this out. No one posts when the downside of social media. Like no one posts when things are not good.
Okay.
Every picture, every post.
Yeah, unless they're complaining. It's either one or the other. It's like the spectrum. It's the ends of the spectrum.
The bell's curve.
It's not the everyday middle, right? So here's what I don't get on social media when tell you when I don't. Easter Sunday.
Why not?
Because I hate seeing all these pictures of churches with every bell and whistle lit up.
Yeah.
And the shots of the biggest crowd of the year. And it just feels to me, and it's me, it's probably my brokenness. It's this, hey, look at how many people came to our church on Easter. And I'm not even going to, I'm not even going to go there. Because I started going, man, I stink.
That's my favorite Sunday to watch online.
Is it?
It is, because every church, they preach him on the cross and they preach him down. They whipped him up the hill. They hung him high, stretched him wide, pierced his side, blood and water. It came out.
Okay,
like that's and it gets you going. I'm like, yes. If you have not given your life to Christ, or you're on the fence,
I'm still at Calvary, bro. I'm still there. Like, wow. Yeah, at least you get the gospel most of the time.
Most of the time.
This year we had some dicey. We won't go there, right? With some of the Easter social that went viral.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, you got comparison, kind of tearing people down. What about just the distraction, like the
time?
Just,
dude.
I mean, yeah, the time.
How much time do you spend if you were to pull out your phone right now? How many hours would it say you're on social media?
I don't even know where to check, but it does send me it does send me these shaming reports
every morning.
It says, "Hey, you're a loser. You spend 2 hours a day on your screen," or whatever it is.
I'll tell you what was embarrassing.
I mean, screen time is some of its work, but
I went to Apple and complaining about my battery. Like, man, this battery is just constantly draining. It's not right.
And they said, let's talk about your soul.
And it said, like, you spend this many hours on active social media a day. This is why the battery is draining your battery this much. Or even when you kill the task, it's still running in the background. Yeah. So it's like, it can get away. But Instagram, when I had COVID, I was laying in bed and I'm just thumbing through a TikTok.
Well, this wasn't yesterday, was it?
No, this is not yesterday. That's why I'm drinking the tea. But I'm thumbing through TikTok, right? I'm just, And then alert came up and says, you've been on TikTok for a while. Perhaps it's time to take a break. And I was like, well, perhaps it's time for you to mind your business.
That's right.
I kept scrolling.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not
the eye in the sky.
Don't be judging me. I can scroll all day long.
Yeah.
But dude, it's time consuming.
Yeah. It's one of my biggest forms of entertainment is honestly scrolling through reels on Instagram, because there's some stupid, funny stuff out there and some crazy stuff. I like both the humor that people try to do or do, and then kind of some of the outdoor adventure sports things that people are doing. Like, whoa, did they die or are they still alive? Kind of a thing. With that being said, I find that when I'm traveling or I'm away and I just can't do the socials. Yeah. I don't miss it when I've got other things I'm enjoying.
Yeah. I just in the moment
sitting around, you know what I mean? It keeps me from doing other things that would be better for me. So it's a little bit of a distraction.
No, I mean, is that really a downside though? Enjoying others?
Well, no, I'm just saying no. Yeah. The humor's great. I could watch that stuff for hours. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the upside. Let's go to the upside. All right. That's turning the corner so fast. That's called throwing your passenger out the window.
Here's our exit.
That's right. Man, from the perspective of a follower of Christ, social media as a ministry, what are some of the upsides or opportunities that social gives us?
I think with social, it's brand ambassador, right? So like, if you don't know, I have a 3-year-old And every week we get these letters home about like what he's singing, what songs we're singing in class, or what letter we're going over, whatever. This Little Light of Mine was on the top of the list. And right, that song in itself is, I would argue, is how we should live our lives. Like you hide it under a bushel. If you're the light of Christ, like you are spreading the light in the world. Social media has an opportunity to let you do that at the masses.
Yeah.
To the masses. Like you could reach hundreds of thousands of people in a millisecond.
Yeah.
Just by one post. Like you never know what you put out there has the opportunity to like change the trajectory of anyone's life. Dude, I think it's so much upside to social media. Like it's a tool wielded well. With great power comes great responsibility.
Ooh, quoted, said.
Yeah. Said what movie I got that from.
Floyd Stubblefield III.
The third.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think of you said brand ambassador.
Yeah.
That's a great statement. That just, literally paints a great picture. On social media, as a follower of Christ, it can be a tool to be a brand ambassador for Jesus.
Yeah.
And represent him. And I think, the gospel, his commission to us is to go into all the world, and social gets us out there.
Yeah.
More than other places. And he says to preach the gospel.
Every time.
And, the gospel, I think last time I checked, is the word for good news.
Come on.
And so we're sharing something good. Like, come on, give me some ham and B3, right?
Well, my Lord. I don't know.
Proverbs 18:21 says, life and death's in the power of the tongue.
Yeah.
And good. It's the words that we speak, which I think are the posts that we post.
Yeah.
There's the power of giving life to someone, or death by, do we lift him up? Do we tear him down as followers of Jesus? If someone's looking at me and I'm posting someday that I love Jesus, I follow him, et cetera, and then the next day I'm like, hey, you all suck.
Yeah.
And go to hockey sticks, and like, I'm confused at who this guy is.
It's conflicting. Right? Well, I think it also exposes like the human nature of everything too. So like that's the if and piece of it too. Like, yeah, you have the opportunity there, but then it's also that charge of, if I'm living my life out this way, that's a huge responsibility and a weight on my shoulders. So I almost feel like I have to post the Jesus thing, or you post one Jesus topic and I have to post that. As a pastor, what can pastors post? Like, I'm pretty sure that's a tough one. How many, like, you might think it's genuinely funny. Yeah, it's a couple of curse words in it, but it's genuinely funny. But does that make you no longer, does that disqualify you to share the gospel of Christ?
Yeah.
Too, right. So it's I'm for it. And I think of when you say that scripture, Pastor Allison, I want to say like 2 years ago, she preached a sermon for students, and she shared about the power of your words. Yeah. And she had the tube of toothpaste, and she got the good stuff. This is like the Radiant Colgate.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And she was like, when you say things that are tearing others down, it's just like squeezing all these negative things. She had I'm talking about the Sam's Club size. So it's everywhere. Did
it smell like mint? Like,
oh my goodness.
More than
that was like $10 worth of toothpaste.
Did you go back throwing a baggie and like, I'm using this for the next month?
I should have scraped it off.
Oh, back on point. My bad.
As I exit. So like she said, the power of the words, but trying to put them back in.
Oh,
sorry. It's the hardest thing. And that's a huge like illustration, even for social media. Like you make a post, it's out there.
It's out there.
I don't care how quick you click delete. It's out.
Somebody
sees it. Nothing is ever truly gone from the internet and from the interweb. Right. Yep. So it's always out there. And how do you backwalk that? And I think Tim Ross said on a quote, he says, we're real good at handling, he said, we're real good at processing and handling missteps and extending grace in hindsight, but not in real time. And I think when it comes to Instagrams, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever your means of social media, it's very difficult for the world to extend grace to you. But the good thing is there is grace in what you post, but you have that positive side of like, man, you can speak so much life into someone who is struggling.
Right.
Like some people are legitimately struggling, functionally depressed, and you have the power to make a post that can just turn and change the trajectory of their lives.
Yeah.
Gosh, how amazing is that?
Sure. How do we remain authentic in, you talked about the highlight reel.
Yeah.
As maybe compared to, I'm just going to post my vitriol, that spectrum. how do we remain authentic with what we're posting as Christians in a way that isn't doing the platitudes and the cliches, but it's like real? How do you do that? How do you let the real Floyd?
I make the post that is great example. When we came in, like, you were hot. Like, I could see it on your face.
Oh, this morning?
Like, no tan, baby. Straight red.
Are we going public with how I came in?
Be honest, though, but like, that's the level of authenticity that, and I think people are tired of the fake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty positive that I'm tired of the fake. Like, no more faking and shaking. Like, let's just keep it real. Let's keep it funky.
Yep.
Like, yo, I'm not having a good day. Like, you ask me, hey, how's today going? Well, give me a couple minutes. Let me pump myself up and thank God and will it. Like, because you have to choose that thing.
Yeah.
So, dude, that's the balance. I think it's a constant dance. And it's okay to post good, but it's also okay to post when things are not so good.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time you posted something that was just like, man, this is taboo? I'll tell you, for me, it was August 18th to 2021, we lost my dad. Heavy moment, right? Well, August 18th, 2023, I was battling a lot of emotions. And the first thing I post was just like, hey, this is where I'm at today. Like, don't call me. Don't ask me. Like, don't text me like, Floyd, I'm praying for you, because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you where I'm at. So you can, if you're going to pray for me, pray for me. It don't have to be an announcement. It don't have to be a text. Just do it. Right. So, but I think that post did more to let people see that, like, man, yeah, I'm broken too.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
we're all vulnerable and we all feel pain and sorrow and loss and sadness. And so I think being authentic with that is, how do you with some intentionality? I know that's different for everybody, but how do I let my real self, I want my real self to be out there consistently. I'm not talking about posting every day, everything. I'm thinking, but when I post, I want it to be authentic.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to have to contain a mix of, man, here's something I'm really encouraged about, something that God's doing in my life. Here's the story that he's writing, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
And it's just really encouraging. And then there's times where it's like, God's still writing his story, but this is a tough one.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. Would you pray? Like, there's that authentic play in there with all that.
Ebbs and flows.
Yeah. Because if it's always, it's like, I don't believe you anymore.
Yeah. For sure.
No one lives on that mountaintop every single day.
For sure.
But yet I don't want to be in your valley every single day. I'll be like, oh,
that's terrible.
Yeah, it's pulling them down. Well, let's wrap this one up, man. So social media as a ministry, what would you recommend for someone who's like, okay, this is a tool for me to be an ambassador, a brand ambassador for Jesus. I've never thought about it that way. What would you encourage them to start doing with more intentionality?
Dude,
everything considered.
Just be real. You don't have to have it perfect. You don't have to be perfect. Unfortunately, I feel like the world is like that charge, but as a brand ambassador, can I tell you're a Christian by what you post? Can I tell that you're a follower of Christ by what you're doing? Can I tell you're a follower of Christ by how you respond to someone cutting you off at the red light? Like, that extends beyond. I think social media is just an extension of your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the huge one. But I mean, that's just me. What about you? Like, what would you say is what's one, let's get a quick Scott moment. Cue the soft.
You really want it? You really want it?
From music. Get the worship pad.
Several years ago, to be more specific, maybe 8-10 years ago, being a pastor, I live in a world of ministry activity, excuse me, and it seems like the world of American ministry and pastors specifically for the last several years has been so enthralled and caught up in the conversation of leadership.
Yeah.
And so everybody wants to be a leadership guru. Everybody's the CEO pastor who knows all the strategic things and all of the ways to run an organization and all these leadership things. And I'm passionate about leadership, but I'm not the best leader. It's just the fact. I'm not horrible, but I'm getting better a little bit every year.
Right.
And I began to just kind of look at all this leadership stuff in the world of pastors, and I started asking, who's the spiritual voice that's going out talking about spiritual things that aren't around leadership?
Yeah.
And I just decided, like, my passion is the gospel, and my passion is those spiritual conversations. So I just chose. I actually kind of got a vision for. I want my social media to be a tool of spiritual leadership.
Come on.
And it seems like God has used it. Nothing incredible, but that's the filter through which, when I look at social, when I'm intentional about trying to be a brand ambassador for Jesus, I want to have a voice of spiritual leadership, helping people take one more step closer to Jesus wherever they are.
That's good.
And so maybe I would just encourage people, get a little bit of a vision for how you want to use your social media if you're a follower of Jesus, and say, Lord, what can I do to use this as a tool for you? And ask him to speak a little vision into you and try to go with it.
I think I talked to the owner of a softball training facility. This is not a plug for him.
Mm-hmm.
He knows who he is. And he once shared that with everything, when they decided to go into business,
mm-hmm.
he prayed about it and he asked God, how can I use this for the glorification of you and to amplify your kingdom?
Yeah.
And dude, it works. And I think it's the same for social media.
Yeah.
I love that buzzword you threw out there, intentionality. You had that intentional approach. Dude, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Just be intentional with your social media.
Yeah. The cliche maybe is don't be emotional with it, be intentional.
Ooh.
Because when we're emotional with it, man, we get sucked into the, right?
Put that on a shirt.
That was worth your cover charge.
Ooh, man.
To get in here.
Come on, baby. That was it. Oh, that was good.
Let's wrap it up. Good having you today, man. We're going to talk next episode about cancel culture. As Christians, what do we do with this? Where does compassion come in? Where does justice come in? Where does accountability come in? What do we do with all this, man? It's gonna be a good conversation.
I'll tell you what, before we just head out, because I'm on another medicine ball from Starbucks, no plug. But I'm just curious as to what everyone listening thinks about like the intentionality of social media.
Okay, that's
curious. So, like, dude, I'd love to read them.
Yeah,
and like
if they listen through to the 22-minute mark, which is where we are.
That's it.
On YouTube,
on 1.5.
Throw your comments out there.
On 1.5, you'll get to it a lot quicker.
Intentionality, not emotion.
That's it.
Curious. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Next week.
Same place, same.
Appreciate you, bro. All right. It's good.